Hello everyone. So in this video, I want to give a quick update on my game's development. Up to this point, I've sort of been building every part of my game into like big files, big monolithic files. I've just been putting a bunch of random functionality in there just to kind of test it out. But now that my game has reached a pretty large scale, I need to start focusing on restructuring everything so that it's basically expandable, right? I need to make everything more pragmatic in a sense. And so this is the new layout for my game. This is my new file system and node layout. As you can see, everything's a lot different here. Basically, what I've done is I've split the entire game up by feature. So everything is now organized according to feature instead of just being in one long file. As you can see, you have the game, right? You have core, you have autoloads. These are things that are global to the entire application. Then you have game, the game section. There's like the most important game objects, which are the game manager, input manager, and timekeeper. And there will be more. Then you have the features, which are entities, the orbital simulation. A big part of the game is, in fact, the orbital simulation. Then you have the storage system, and there will be many more features added here. But even then, in the entities folder, we have asteroids, the player, projectiles, and player ship. And the ship has its own components like engines, guns, and ship hulls. So the advantage to organizing everything according to feature is that you can basically split up large parts of the game into discrete sections that can be individually tested and developed, right? And then you can compose these parts of components. So you can build small pieces of them first and then put them together and make that work as one cohesive unit. So for example, the orbital simulation has an orbital manager, which manages the entire orbital simulation and updates the orbital bodies. An orbital body is just one object that has data and, positions and other smaller components that it needs. And then you have orbital data, which is the actual files that are read from and, that are used to build the orbital simulation itself. Then you have also the orbital math class, very important. This is where all the actual math for calculating orbital positions lies. I'm not going to explain how all of this works, but the idea is that I am reorganizing the entire project according to feature and components. And this is a very big deal for me because now I'm going to be able to add all of the features that I've been wanting to add a lot more quickly without having to constantly sift through huge lists of files to see where everything is. For comparison, this is the old game's layout. As you can see, not good. You just have long lists of scenes and files. This is very difficult to read because, like, if I want to modify one of these files, I need to look through this list, find the file. I don't know what it's a part of. I don't really know how it relates to the overall game. It's harder to define the role of these files when they're all grouped like this together, right? Even the assets, they're all in one long list, and it's very hard to understand what goes where and what's used where. Whereas splitting things up by feature, like I'm doing in the new setup, is just a lot more. It's a lot easier, right? Like, for example, let's say we have views. This is where the 3D and like the actual visual part of the game is managed, right? And here I have my cameras, and then I have the master camera rig. And so if I need to modify the camera functionality, I just go to views and cameras. If I want to add a new camera, boom, I can create a new folder. Let's say we call this cam 3. I have a new camera. I can create a new node and scene, and then I immediately know how to implement this camera in the game. Whereas before, I would have had to either go through my old camera code and find a way to add this new camera there, or I'd have to like figure out how to modify the existing camera code to accommodate a new camera. By splitting everything up by component, I can essentially make the game modular. I can add pieces to it, and I can modify those pieces individually without breaking everything else. I can also do something very important called, I can essentially decouple everything. So before, in this long list, everything is tightly coupled, which means that everything has references to the world. It has references to like specific variables that are global. This is not a very good idea because, like, in tight coupling, if something breaks, if one part of the system breaks, the entire system breaks. So if I have every single scene here has a reference to a variable in another scene, and I either delete that scene or modify the scene so that its variable is different, or the functionality changes, then all these scenes will break because the data that they relied on, that I expected to get, changed. But if I make everything modular and I decouple it, then everything is separate, and the functionality remains the same across all of these scenes, even if the data that they're getting might change, because the data they get is no longer a global truth. It's just something that is passed to them from another node. It's difficult to understand if you don't really know programming that well, which is fine. I'm not really doing this to teach anyone anything. I'm just kind of talking about this because I want to explain how it works. And I just want to make these daily updates about my game because that would keep me motivated to keep working on it. And that's all I really care about at the moment. I just want to get this game working as best as I can in as quick of a time as possible. And I want to make a really good, fun, and immersive and just amazing game. But that's it. that's the new file system that I'm using in my game. Everything is now split up by feature, and it will continue to evolve. It's by no means final. I very much intend on, you know, restructuring things as I go along, but it's the paradigm shift from tight coupling, long listed, you know, folders to these encapsulated pieces of the game that is really going to change the game for me. Like, it's going to change, I mean, pun intended, it's going to change everything. Going from that long list to a very methodical kind of file tree of features is just, it's such a breath of fresh air for me, because now if I want to work on something specific, I know exactly where to find it. If I want to modify the orbital simulation, I don't have to worry about fixing other parts of the game. I simply open this folder and I know exactly what I need to work on. The orbital manager needs an update, then I go to the orbital manager. Or if the direction vectors class needs an update, then I, you know, go to the direction vectors class. Or same thing, orbital manager, orbital body. It's very elegant, it's very beautiful, it's encapsulated, and if something breaks, I can fix that separately. And that's it. So I just wanted to give this little update. Thanks for watching. I guess I'll see you in the next update, which will happen daily. So yeah, goodbye. Have a great day.